Hi there. Welcome to another After School Tech Tips with the Tips team. My name's Bernice, and today we're going to be talking about tips for prompt generation with generative AI. And we're going to be using ChatGPT as an example. I will walk you through it near the end. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, so as you can see here, first of all, I'm going to go through some possible types of prompts. So it can be brainstorming prompts, explaining, organizing ideas, solving a problem, creating content, and more. And so with all of these different prompts, notice that as you experiment more and more with prompting, you'll get a better idea of all the different ways you can ask things, what you can ask for, and just consider what you want the output to be. That can help you then with these promptings. And so in all of these cases, the prompt might look something similar to, can you please brainstorm? Can you please explain? Can you please organize? Can you please suggest a solution? Can you please create, write, etc., etc. And again, that helps you then with some of the possible types of prompts. Now, before you go and prompt and put a prompt into generative AI tool, there are some considerations. And so the first one that I want to point out is considerations around data privacy. First of all, recognize that every single generative AI tool that is used does have its terms of use and privacy policy that I would encourage you to take a look at to better understand how the data is being used. Personal data, student data, confidential data, all of these, any data that goes into generative AI tools is used based upon those privacy policies and is often used to train the data set. So any data going in can have a risk of data misuse. There also might be concerns about the consent required with certain data going into these generative AI tools. And so if you have any questions about that for more details, please check out our after school tech tip video. We just had one last week that I'm going to link right above. And right there, if you click on it, you'll get some more information on privacy and data security for AI with educators. The second consideration that I wanted to bring up is bias. So recognizing that the prompt that you put in may end up with an output that may have some inherent bias in it because data sets can inherently have bias as part of the data set, which then leads me to the importance of evaluating the output. Your point of view, your ideas, and your expertise is really, really important to reflecting on that output and deciding, is that what I wanted the output to be? Or is that not quite what I wanted? Or can I see some bias perhaps in the output as is? And does that mean now I should reframe my prompt? Or how should I refine the output myself perhaps and make it more into what I want it to be? And so again, then that leads me to the last consideration there of how you can include important pieces of information in your prompt. In general, the more information you put in, the more likely it's going to help shape it to, or shape the output to what you wanted the output to originally be. All right, so that leads me then to what can be helpful for your prompt. So like I was mentioning, the more detailed instructions or directions that you provide it, generally the more context it's going to have. And of course, the more clear you are, the better it's going to be as well. Providing context for the prompt can be very, very helpful because that context can provide background information, it can provide the purpose of the prompt, perhaps who the intended audience is, and then, of course, even consider things like conditions. So conditions for the prompt could be something along the lines of wanting it to only have an output of 250 words versus 100 words, or having it come out in bullet form, or having it come out in table form. Are there certain keywords that you want the output to have, or are there certain keywords that you do not want the output to have? What style or tone do you want the output to be in, right? And finally, reference text. So is there an example that you have that you could provide it? And then perhaps the example can help inform that output even further. So those are just some examples of what can be helpful for your prompt. As you experiment, it doesn't have to have everything. At the end of the day, it's really experimenting with it, deciding what works best for you, and again, evaluating that output, looking at it from your professional lens and your professional judgment to say, is this what I wanted? Um, and then how can I refine it and go further from there? All right, so I hope that makes sense. I'm going to jump now into ChatGPT and just walk through a quick example so that you can kind of see how we can take a bare bone prompt and kind of add some more pieces to it as we go. So we're going to head into ChatGPT here. We are going to use ChatGPT 3.5, which is the free version that everyone has access to. But again, this works for any generative AI tool that has kind of this prompting piece in it. And again, every single AI tool is evolving, it is changing. So please note that prompting is not quite like prompting is going to continuously evolve, and there's going to be nuances with every single tool that you decide to use. So whether that be ChatGPT or another AI tool, kind of working with it to learn the nuances of prompting can really help as well with the output. All right, so first thing here, I'm going to start out with a bare bones type of prompt. And so I'm going to start out with, can you please give me some ideas for a school fundraiser? And as you can see here, it's going to give me a block of text. It has numbered it, but there's a lot that's coming up already right now. There's 20 ideas there. And so we're going to try to prompt it to change it so that we have more information that we're going to provide it and give it some more context, maybe give it a purpose or have it take on an identity. So in this case here, I'm going to choose to take on an identity. So I'm going to say take on the identity of a leadership teacher. And instead of 20, I'm going to ask it for 10. I say please come up with a list of 10 ideas for a school fundraiser that will also help with developing school culture and student engagement. And so again, now that I've added those additional pieces to it, it's going to again then focus in on 10, right? But again, give some more ones that might focus on that school culture, that student engagement piece, but also still have the fundraiser piece in there. Now, let's say I want to change the output. And notice that this is a running conversation. So I can continue to ask it questions within the same conversation. Maybe I don't want it in this form. Maybe I want it in a table form because I want to see some pros and cons to each one of these. So I can go ahead and ask it to, can you please put these into a table format with pros and cons for each one? And then again, now you can see pros and cons, plus, of course, all of the ideas that it had brainstormed originally from the output previously. Again, if I wanted to add some more context, maybe it's winter time. And again, I can add that and say, you know, this event is happening during the winter time. And then can you please change these ideas to reflect this? And so again, it will now bring in that winter piece, and then of course still have those pros and cons, and then add all of those in for your fundraiser. And so the more information you provide it, the more context you give it, and again, just specifying that output, specifying what you're looking for can really help with refining it to make it the way you want it to be. So I hope that helps. Thank you so much. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, check back for weekly videos, and connect with your TIPS member if you have any questions. Our website there is tips.epsb.ca. Thanks so much. Take care.